Just let everybody in. Can you hear the music? No? Can you hear it?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm having a network issue. Can everybody hear me okay? Just give me any sort of emotion reaction. Okay? Yeah? I'm only seeing Medini, not her head. So that's reassuring.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So how we're gonna start today? I know everybody's curious about what's gonna go on here. Okay. But the first thing we're going to do is just bring ourselves to this moment and just remind yourself of where you're at right now. It's Friday, the end of the day, your last chunk of information that you're going to receive, hopefully, tends about an application. Okay? So just breathing in through your nose. I invite everybody to do this. It's not going to take too long. Just breathe in through your nose, with your hands on your heart space, and exhale through your mouth. Breathing in again, and out through your mouth. Take a moment to remind yourself of your intention coming on this call today. Through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, think your love and nose is outside your body and allow your body, your back, sink in to whatever space you're seated in. Let this gravity do its work, grounding you. Notice the capture on your body, down your face. And when this feels complete, and you can adjust yourself and ask it, oh, done, okay. Okay, the first thing I want to do is pause the music. Alright. Just going to try to mute yourself. Okay. So first of all, thank you very, very much for hopping on this call and giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about what this application process, what it is to apply, what it is to go for selection, what it is during the coursework, and what it takes for after the course. Okay, so that's what we're going to get through today. First of all, I want to tell every single one of you, whoever has a bachelor's in psychology or you're on that path, you're into completion with the relevant experience and the training, you will definitely have a good chance to enter this program. I've had a lot of calls where people have messaged me or called me and told me like, oh man, it's so hard to get into this program, right? I mean, I don't think I can do it. That's not true at all. If you have that thought and think it's going to be super challenging and I shouldn't apply, why bother with it? Don't do that. Take that thought and put it in the dustbin. Okay? I got there, I did it, I qualified, and I'm here. What, nearly 10 years later? Okay? So, honestly, if I can do it, I really think that anybody can. I'm not the sharpest tool in the box. So, moving on, let's hop into the content. It's going to move very, very quickly. Okay? It's going to move very quickly. This is simply an information session. Now, what I do want to highlight over here, I've done my best over the last week to gather accurate information and updated information. I did mine over 11 years ago, okay, with the university. So I'm hoping that what I share with you is not dated, but from calling different colleagues who are still in the system, people who recently graduated, I pretty much have almost all the updated things. Okay, so bear with me if there are a few differences when you decide to apply. Okay, all right, so moving forward. What to expect from today? Application selection once in the program, unless maybe some of you have some questions. I'm very, very happy to answer. Okay, I may not have all the answers to your questions, but I will do my best to get you the most appropriate and the correct one. Okay, so application form, certificates of relevant fields, to clinical psychology, copy of NIC, your payment slip. There's so much, right? That's not so much as well. What I want you to focus on is number 5. Okay, experience is an added advantage, not just to enter the program. Clinical psychology is what we call a bolder model. Okay, a bolder model program is a program that focuses heavily on research and heavily on clinical work. So prior to entering the program, if you happen to get clinical experience, it's going to help you during the program to manage the stress, to manage the expectation of your skill development, because when you're going without the clinical experience, it can actually be a bit daunting because you're going to learn a lot of new information. You have to assimilate the information, you've got to apply the information, you've got to be able to critically analyze it. So in bolder models are very intense programs. Okay, and that's what this MPhil in clinical psychology at University of Colombo is. All right, curriculum recap. This over there is a CV. I drafted mine, I printed it. They told me I would have a panel of 4 people, so I'm just giving a few things that I did that made the process easier. I had 4 copies of everything in 4 files that looked like this. Okay, I actually put quite a bit of effort into it. It was just the selection, but I put effort into it. I got binder folders like this, and I put 4 copies of everything, and I handed each panelist a copy, which made it very easy for them. I actually tabbed them and told them, like they had their requirements, so each tab they could easily flip through it. They didn't have to do this. I thought it would just make it easier for them to get through and answer questions. Plus, at that time, I did have a lot of time on my hands, so I could do it. Okay, so I was one of those, and I liked stationery. So I said, oh my, let's purchase stationery. What I'm going to do. I did expect them to return my folders, but 3 of them kept the folders. I got back only 1 folder. Okay, so it didn't go the way I planned. But nevertheless, they really liked what I did. Okay, so there's so much going on over here. I'm going to move on to the slide and tell you guys you can apply online or you can have the printout. I want you to copy this phone number, Miss Jayami. That's the number that I found on the current website, their advertisement for the application process if you have more questions. I don't know this person personally. I have no idea. I just went and I got this information to you, so you have it in your hands. Okay. I didn't put the email address down. I'm sorry. I'll get that for you. Okay. So this is what the online application looks like. Okay. When you go online, it's a Google form that gives you all of this information. All right. I've just taken screenshots and I've put it over here. Okay. What I want you to focus on is if you use your Google Forms, they've put it very nicely over here. Upload as one PDF file. So what do you have to do? You get all of these documents that are here in this blue rhomboid or a slanted rectangle that I have made. And it has to just be one copy that you upload. These are the things that I printed out and I brought it along with my CV and all the other additional letters in those binders for each of the panelists. So I don't know how many panelists you're going to have, but that's what I did. Okay. Moving on, just for you, if you just want to have a look at what the form looks like, the form has 16 different questions. Basically, you have your demographic like anything else, your religion, nationality, phone number, home number. You can see there are mandatory fields over here. Okay. Educational qualifications. So there are examples of what they're asking you, and work experience. Work experience really, really helps. They made it very easy by giving you examples of how you should put your answer down. Okay. And tada, 17. You're done. You upload your that one PDF and submit. That's it. Okay. The application, the hard copy, Senuri or maybe can you please, one of you drop it in the WhatsApp chat on JH Talk, and we'll drop the PDF of it on the Zoom one, the application for the infill program. Okay. Now, the selection process. So, you have a placement test and an interview. When I went in for the program, the way it was done was you go in, they have an essay they want you to write, and the essay was, if I remember correctly, they wanted us to talk about ourselves in the context of counseling and how what would make me a good. And then we had to sit a we had a small test that had some questions and case studies. And then we had group work. They gave us a scenario. They gave us a scenario where they did group work. They put me in a group with the other candidates, and we had to discuss our ideas about this scenario. Maybe a case study about diagnosis, what do we think it is, how we would manage. Okay, and we had the panelists observing us during discussion. After that, I had an interview, and what they usually focus on the interview is they ask you more questions about your education qualifications and your experience. One thing they also do focus on is asking you about travel. Like, are you willing to travel? Because you will have to travel to different places in the country, to different hospitals. In different hospitals, you have your placement during the program. So you need to be willing to travel. You need to be willing to look for your own accommodation, live independently, do your own food, all the life admin as well. And then if you're a trilingual speaker, of course, it's an added advantage because you don't have many trilingual speakers. At the time, I was mainly English speaking. I didn't speak much Sinhala. Actually, I didn't speak Sinhala at the time. And I spoke very, very broken Tamil. So what I did was during my program, I had batchmates who spoke amazing Sinhala. So we had, I'll get into it. After you get selected, this is what happens in your first month, the first 6 months. We had 4 months. Sorry. Somebody speaking. Okay. So what I did was I started to study Sinhala in those first 4 months, and whatever broken Sinhala I had, I would try to speak it with my colleague and she would correct me. So I was trying to do two things at the same time. It was stressful because I didn't know the language. I didn't know if I was going to be useful in a government hospital. speaking only English. And I was very concerned that even though you pay for the program, it's still resources invested in me. So I also had a little bit of guilt that pushed me like, oh my God, the lecturers are investing in me, my friends are investing in me. I got to go perform. I have to be able to do something, right? So I rock up. I did that with the most broken Sinhala. I entered placements and I had the most amazing people that I ended up working with, whom I call help seekers and what you will know as clients. They corrected me. They helped me improve my Sinhala. Very grateful for that. Maybe can you just check and catch out anyone who is unmuted and please mute them unless they have a question. Okay. So yeah. So now, oh wow, I moved on so far ahead by on accident. Oh, oops, sorry. I think I was moving ahead just now. Clearly, just like my Sinhala, my tech savviness is very, very far away. You're going to have to bear with me for that. Took me a moment to realize I'm actually jumping to the slides. Okay, so here we are. Placement test. The reason I put full DSM is because I remember when I had sought out somebody who had already graduated from the program. Okay, and I was like, oh my God, what is it gonna be like? Obviously, I was a little bit nervous because I did want to get into the program, and this application. So she had told me like, oh my God, it was so difficult. It's really, really difficult to enter. It's really tough. Honestly, I'm being very, very honest. You can take it from me. I am not a high achiever. Anybody who knows me and has known me from university days, school days, and everything knows that I'm not a high achiever. So she said, it's so tough to get in. I went in, I sat this. It was very reflective, the process, because you started thinking about yourself and how you can improve if you don't get in for the next. Okay. But I did have sufficient clinical experience in a major teaching hospital in the Middle East. And it was a very intense training that I had, which I think really boosted and really got me into the program. That's what really helped. But I spoke to a few others, and you know what they told me? Like my juniors, like, oh my God, Rushma, I panicked and I memorized the whole DSM, the DSM 5 TR, thinking, I don't know what they're going to ask me. It's going to be so difficult. No, you do not have to do this. You don't have to panic and memorize the DSM. You are entering this program to understand what's in the DSM. That is what the program is about. Okay, remember that. You go in the program, they are going to teach you about the disorders, what to look for. Because you're someone who just graduated, how would you know how to diagnose? You're getting into the clinical psychology program to learn how to be able to do that. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Um, give me a reactions button if you got that, or put a comment in the chat if you understood what I just said, for those of you who are planning to apply. Yeah. So please don't hit the panic button and try to, oh my God, I gotta learn this. What? So if you really, really like that, but I still want to, maybe just go look at the DSM-5 PR and look at the major, like neurodevelopmental, look at depressive disorders. Look at that. Okay, these are the umbrella terms. Okay, generally what this is. So just give a little bit of a read. 30th is your application. Your interviews are probably going to be somewhere in August, I think, or October. I'm not sure. So just leisurely look through it. You are going to enter in this program to learn how to do it. So don't expect yourself to have already known it before you go. Okay, that's just unnecessary pressure, unnecessary stress is going to take away from you showcasing who you are at the interview process. Okay, because you're so preoccupied on did I do well, did I answer properly, instead of like, this is who I am, this is how I present information, this is what I know. Show that you're willing to learn. You're there, you're ready to say, I don't know. Okay? That's all this is about. Please don't pressure yourself and do that for those of you applying this time or even the next time. Okay. So now all good news, you're into the program. So this is what The batches after mine, the last two batches, they had in their first 6 months full-time lectures from Monday to Friday and sometimes maybe on a Saturday. Okay, but sorry, Monday to Friday. I've made a mistake on Saturday. And the timings are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. or sometimes it went at 8:30 a.m. to 4. Now they covered a range of topics. Okay, I've just put this range of topics down here. Adult psychopathology, which helped them within this subject, they dove into diagnosis, mental health law, cognitive foundation, psychopharmacology. They also did on adult attachment. And look at this, guys. They then later on dove specifically into each disorder of the DSM-4. Then they went into clinical neuropsychology, psychological therapies. They did the foundational skills, interpersonal therapy, forensic rehabilitation. They also had a small component on health psychology, old age psychology, learning disabilities, research methods and stats. Okay. They also discussed professional issues and service delivery. This is generally what is being. Uh, sorry about that. So now, once you're in the placement, after you're done with the 6 months of study and teaching, learning, you get into your placement. So, what is a placement? A placement is where they put you in hospitals to acquire your practical experience. During this time, okay, I wanted to tell you I made a mistake just before our call. We're going to update the slides. In these brackets, can you see the three placements? Each placement is 6 months each, okay? They no longer have Lady Ridgeway or Kalabovila. I was at Kalabovila, Ragama, and Candy, and they were the best experiences I had. I had a great team of psychiatrists, senior registrars that I could work with, talk to, get guidance from. Okay. What I did not have, which y'all will be getting, is this thing called community placement. Okay, 6 to 8 weeks of the placement. Now, your placement for the next 18 months, right? 3 into 6, 18, runs from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Saturday. So this is a full time thing. During these placements, especially in your last year, also you are doing your research. So in amidst this, you have to figure out your research, your data collection, your report writing, and preparation for your Viva. Okay, it's a full time thing. If you can commit your full time and energy to this, I invite you to apply. If you're not sure if you can do this, don't add extra stress. Look for, then there must be a reason that you can't do it right now, and that's okay. Look for the next batch, which will be in 2 years. Okay, the intake. All right. So once in the program, they have the assessment and review process. So assessment, you have supervision. All right. Now you have a clinical supervisor that is allocated to you from the university. And then you have a placement supervisor. That is the psychiatrist, the head of the department that you will be working under. So both these people will be offering you supervision. For both of these persons, you maintain logbook. Okay, you will have your clinical supervision logbook, which is done weekly, and they have a weekly activity sheet, which I did not have to do, but the new batches did. And next week, there's someone from the more recent batch who's going to come on for about 20 minutes and talk to you about some more technicalities, which I'm not familiar with. Okay. Um, you would need both these books to be filled, maintained on a regular period of time so that at the end of the placement, you do not have to struggle typing information of all the times you saw. For example, when I was in my Ragama placement for 6 months, actually for 8 months, six, can't remember now, I had seen over 120 patients, just me. And this is excluding the group work that I did. So imagine if you don't document, I made the mistake of thinking, it's going to be easy. I started off like, New broom syndrome. You do everything so perfectly. You sweep in all the time. The first 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, this is good, blah, 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 and I'm packing. And then I started slacking off. Oh my God, the last 2 weeks of placement was so hectic because I had to enter information of over 120 people I saw. I had to go back to my notes. I would check my notes and see at the end what happened, what was the result, which clients did I see for like 2 sessions and suddenly stop, which ones did I complete it. All of that information goes into your logbook. What therapeutic plan you did, what was your learning process, and everything needs to be signed off by the psychiatrist at your place. And then you have your clinical supervision log. The placement, the supervision log that you have needs to be signed by both people. Good. So please do it systematically. If you have to, maybe do it every 2 weeks. If you can't do it, every week. Okay. Research. So research was a dissertation of 20K or 30K words. I can't remember right now because some of the information is not clear to me. But I'm just giving you a general understanding. I'll find out. I couldn't get the details of how many words it is for the current batches. Okay, I'll try to get that for you. You will have a research supervision log as well that needs to be signed and maintained. Now, while all of this is happening in the background, you will have placement reviews. You will have a mid-placement review that will happen with your, when I did it, it happened with my clinical supervisor. The mid of the placement, we do a review, a check-in to assess where your skills are. You get, every supervisor does it differently. Okay, so don't be, well, it's not right to say don't be, but I'm just reminding you that everyone does it differently. Some of the supervisors will, straight away tell you like, oh, this is what I noticed, blah, 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 blah. This is not good, this is not good, this is not good, which is fine, okay, yes. Some of the supervisors won't even tell you what is good, but they might tell you what is not good. So know that you just focus on what's the areas that is not good according to them. Then there are some supervisors who will ask you, what do you think you did well and what do you think you're struggling with? How would you like to rate yourself? Do you think you're a B or a A? Should you get 98? Should you get 78? So they try to work with you to see where you are. And then they will share their perspective. And you will come to a negotiation of like, oh, for this particular thing, I think you've rated yourself lower than you actually are. Sometimes the supervisor will tell you that. And for another thing, they might say, oh, you've gone a little bit too high over there. I see where go with that. Okay, so everybody does it differently. At the end of the day, even with their different styles, maybe harsh, they're just trying to help you become a more confident clinician by the time you graduate. Okay, not everybody is going to have, these mittens to hold you softly and carry you to the process. Some people are just going to, come and hammer the nail on the head and be like, deal with it, it hurts, but, you're going to be better for it. Is this clear? Okay at this point? Can I move on? Any questions here? Yes, no?
Ma'am, there was the question on the chat.
Yeah. Could you read it out to me? I'm not able to access it. Oh, I think I got it. No, no, no. You don't have to send it at all. Tanidi, no, no. They didn't ask for it.
Uh,
Don't send it. It's just something that I did. Okay?
yeah,
It's just
yeah, because I had already applied and I was stressing. No worries then.
I put the CD in my binder. I didn't put the CD to them.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that question. Oh my God, everybody, I don't want
Yeah,
to stress
because
you.
I had already applied and it was too late to send in my CV now.
I'm glad you asked the question. I don't know how many of you might have thought that. Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't clear enough. But no, I put the CD in my binder. I didn't
Makes
send them
sense.
documents that they
Yeah.
didn't need. Not yeah, I didn't give them documents that they didn't need. So I'm glad you asked that question and you clarified.
No problem. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes. Sorry, anybody, if I panicked you. You can take 5 minutes to 10 minutes to have a quick chat with Sanivia moving on the side. They are trained counselors to help you breathing and exhale, okay? Okay, so then you go through your in-placement review, obviously, which is at the end. Now, I want to share a little bit with those of you who have applied, and I hope you're all getting placements are different at every hospital. Every hospital has its own culture. You will also learn from hearsay of your lecturers, of past batchmates about, oh my god, this was so horrible. Oh my god, that doctor was so horrible. Oh, this lecturer is like this supervisor is like that. I really, really, really invite you to take all those comments through this year and put it out the other year. I implore you to employ, go see, decide. You go in, you see for yourself, you experience, then you decide, and you figure out mitigation, whatever contingency strategy to support. Okay? Because if you start listening to what everybody has to say, you will be scared, you will be terrified, you will have coordinators who will tell you now. In one of the batches, one of the coordinators had told the whole batch, you got to study for 16 hours a day to graduate as a good psychologist. And I'm thinking, how do you actually define a good psychologist? How do you do that? Right? And you'll start to, so I want you to please take all of these things that they're saying as a grain of salt. Everybody is trying to motivate students in a different way, and they think they're doing it in the best way, but it doesn't resonate with a learner. Okay, and you just need to go and experience for yourself. Okay, we have somebody who has raised their hand. I'm going to assume it's for a question. Karshika.
Yes, doctor, I'm so sorry. Like I had to disturb you. So I have a question with regard to the dissertation. Now, during our interview, do they ask any questions about I mean, whatever the topic that we are going to choose and what are the interested areas? Do they ask anything about the research?
Oh, thank you, Karshika. So when it comes to the research, when I went in, usually no, they don't ask you at that point. They might ask you what you're interested in, depends, because you're going to have a panel, right? And sometimes it's what side of the bed did the panelists get up from? Was it the good side? What is the stressful side? Okay, so you're going to have to just remember to breathe, and if you genuinely feel like, I'm not really sure what topic I want to go in for because I want to experience the program and decide, yeah, I'm out, be honest with it. Because on the spot, when you try to think of some junk that doesn't make sense, you look like you are not sure about yourself. That is not going to fly over. Okay? So if you haven't thought about it, you haven't. But what they do is, see, during my batch, what had happened was, okay, I was the pest of the batch, honestly. The previous coordinator that we had, such a wonderful psychologist. She was also a clinical psychologist. She was my senior. Her name is Rekha. Maybe a lot of you do know of her. I would send emails like, hey, what is this review? Hey, I want to know how this evaluation process is. Wait, this person who marked my process report, okay, said this is good. This is not good. I want to know what is not good. I want to know what is good because I cannot improve my next process report if you do not tell me what. And I did the same thing even for the thesis. Because what happened to me in my experience was we go, we prepare for our proposal viva with the knowledge that I had and the experience that I had. I did it to the best of my ability. And then you have this list of things that are not approved at the viva. And some of them are very fundamental, which we didn't have somebody who guided us. We weren't allocated supervisors before we entered the proposal viva. We were allocated supervisors after. And that
Oh.
becomes a bit of an issue. That was my batch. But then this is what I raised. I was like, this is not fair. I mean, now I've got to do things over again. Do you know how much research we did? Blah, blah, blah. I'm back on my, being that keyboard warrior. Type an email to the coordinator. Could we please have a conversation about this? Because this doesn't seem like it's helpful to us. And I was really sad because one of my batchmates is a high achiever as well. And she cried. She was floored by this, and it was so heartbreaking to see someone who's worked so hard, and like academia wasn't something that I easily got broken down by, like marks and stuff like that. I was more the practical person. So it was easy for me to manage the emotion. But then when you have a group mate, a teammate, right, your batchmate, you feel for them. So I started having, I said, you know what, she's going through this. I can understand. She did so well in her undergrad. I have all this unnecessary information I put in there thinking I'm building my case. And now what they try to do is they allocate you a supervisor before your thesis proposal presentation from what I have heard. But remember, next week we're having somebody who recently graduated come up to talk and cement more information. Okay? So I hope that was helpful for you, Prakshita. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Yes, thank you so much. And I have another question as well. I'm sorry. So this is with regard to the structure of the paper. So like how long it is, and I mean like do should we expect some questionnaires about stats? Because that is a
Uh,
terrifying part to all the students.
the intake, your placement, like your first interview, the selection.
Yes, yes, the selection exam.
I don't really remember how long it was, but I think it was half an hour,
Hmm.
half an hour.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
hang on. I don't want you all to care for the time. Because if you're worried about the time, you're not present there with you. When you go there, things can change. So whoever is on this call, go there thinking, I am, I am Garshika Sevandi Siddharth. I'm here and for the interview. I got this. That is where you're not, how long is this gonna take? Okay, I gotta finish it, blah, 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 blah. So where are you? Your mind is in the future. You're trying to get something done without being present now. So this is more of your mindset going into these processes. It's not really about the content, right? Because if you're present with yourself in that moment, the best version of your possible responses will start to come out on paper. That's it. You're not
Yeah.
there. You're not this. You don't have a thought about the past. You don't have a thought about the future. You're here. I have a question. I'm answering. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does a lot. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. I want as many of you to get into this program. So let's get this going. Okay. So yeah, dissertation done, placement, blah 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 done. Okay. Ah. So at the end of the first year, the current batch. I don't know about the current batch, but I know this happened for me, and it looks like it's happened over the other batches as well because I couldn't get hold of the current batch. Okay. Um, we had exams at the end of the first year. Research methods and stats. The paper was an open book paper, and the adult psychopathology paper and a child psychopathology paper. From what I remember, I think they were 2 hours or 3 hours long. But the good news is you're already doing your studies while you're practicing, right? In a hospital. So it's a lot easier to sit the paper. Now, I'm someone who doesn't really study, at least at the time. Now I'm crazy for studies, and my team knows I have a dozen, 100 certificates that I'm finishing up. Um, what I did for both the papers is I was focused on like, okay, what research would I want to do? I have got this client coming in next week, so I want to prepare for this. I answered the papers based on the experience that I had accumulated over the first 6 months of my um, placement. Because while I was in placement, if I got stuck at a certain point, I would go to my clinical supervisor or my placement supervisor and I would ask questions. That's how I learned. Like I needed to see and do to learn. Um, and then I would read up a little bit. And what I did was I just, uh, 2 days before the exam, I just looked through points that I had highlighted, and that is how I. There are some of you who will feel like, no, that's not the section I want to do. I just want to prepare regularly and let's go and go for it. I'm just saying that I chose an easier path because studying is not always my strong suit. I mean, I fall asleep a lot when it's a go on studying for an exam. Now, you have vivas as well. So you have two vivas. One is a clinical viva and one is a research viva. So research viva is based on, obviously, the research that you completed. Okay. Clinical viva is based on all the placements that you've done. And when I couldn't get the information from the recent past batches, but I'm going to share it from my batch. What we had to do is we had a case report and a process report. So we had to document a process, a session. You got to record it, you got to transcribe it. And I mean, I think a lot of you would have done a process report in your undergrad. It's part of the standard counseling studies. Okay. So you had to do that and explain and justify your logic as to how and why you did certain things, what was the outcome. Now understand that it's not about successful outcome and change. Even while you were doing it, if you notice something that didn't work and why it didn't work, that's okay. But you're very clear cut and intentional in your process is what they want to see, and you know what you're doing. You're not just like, oh, hey, yesterday I had heard something from Gabor Mate or some other psychologist or whatever, right? And you're like, let me just try this, with the client you're working with. And the case report was, of course, the whole case, the person, a completed thing where you document everything that happened, what went from A to Z. And then you present on that. They'll have questions about why you did it this way, why did you pick this particular case. There's some good questions over there. Now we're coming to the end. SLMC, Sri Lankan Medical Council endorsement requirements. SLMC is the last thing. Now, I want to show you what I mean. Okay. Do you see this num? Okay, I don't think you can see it. I'm going to show it to you right now. Give me a second. Do you see this number underneath my name? That's this SLMC number 51. Okay, so this is a registration number. And a clinical psychologist, for now, at least in our country, you need to be having this number. Earlier, I didn't take the registration out of just philosophy, like my own personal thing, because I wanted to sign up for a registration where they're actually supervising and overseeing and ensuring that I'm doing my continuous education, that I'm maintaining standards. So I felt like, oh, why should I get this? This is a paramedical professional registration, but no. The main reason I pushed to get it, a few of the reasons, and one of the main things is persons who are being entering internships with me or training with me, it helps to say that a SLMC registered clinical psychologist trained me. I was under training with them, or I was under supervision with them. So that was the reason it actually pushed me to like, okay, you know what, we need to get this sorted. So now let's come back. This is actually the absolute end. Next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m., we're going to have a more detailed thing about the SLMC registration. Okay. So the registration number is where you get from the medical council. It's a building by Norris Canal in Colombo. The Ceylon Medical College Council is a separate building altogether and a separate office. Okay. This council will provide you with a proficiency certificate. All right. Maylin and Senori, could you drop the other documents? So I'm just dropping in for your curiosity the application that you will need to send for the CNCC. It's an 18-page document. For the SLMC, the document you will have to submit is a 2-page document, along with the proficiency certificate that you will get from the Ceylon Medical Council. The reason I put this out here for you is I wanted you all to know what the end process also looks like. Essentially, because when I was trying to apply for my registration, I really didn't know what was the difference between SLMC and CMC, right? So I took all my documents and I went to SLMC and they're like, why the CMCC proficiency certificate came out? I said, ma'am, I'm coming to apply for the number. So give me the number. Here are my documents. They're like, ma'am, so the paid and like they really were like, oh my God, who is this dumb person who has come over here, who is claiming to be a qualified psychologist but doesn't know the basic thing? And truth be told, nobody told us about this. You can't expect me to know. Like if you want informed, and even if I read up on it, it was a bit confused, right? So understand that you need the proficiency certificate to get a registration number. The proficiency certificate application is long, okay? And this is why I'm asking you all to maintain, once you get in, maintain all your logbooks in a timely manner because it will be such a breeze. You'll have to take that and all the application requirements they have asked for in the form that Megan and Sunil deposited. You take that whole bunch of things and then you go give it to the CMCC. They look through it. There will be a panel of psychologists and doctors who will go through it, look at everything that has been written, submitted. Then once they, endorse you, then you get a certificate that says Ceylon Medical Council Proficiency Certificate for Clinical, Psychologists with your name on it. Then you take that certificate with the application, the two-page application to the SLMC, along with a couple of other things, and you submit it. And you will eventually, oh, you will eventually get a card with a number. Okay, I got mine this year. I mean, I actually got my proficiency certificate long time ago, like in 2021, but I got my registration number this year. This is what it will look like, okay? I don't know if they're going to change it from purple, but yeah, this is what it looks like. Now, with this process was the most taxing process for me because you have to keep calling, number one. And I was like, lo and behold, I'm not going to be calling anymore. So I started to just make trips to Colombo to ensure the process was happening. And they tell you that they will call you and tell you when your certificate is ready. Just so you know, I was so dumb. I waited for their call after I submitted, I think in 2020 or 2021. Yeah, I think I submitted in 2021. Nobody called me. Then I went to check. There was COVID. We couldn't go, so I went to check. And they're like, it finished 2 years ago. Then why did you come and take it? I said, dude, you didn't call. You had my number. You said you'll drop a message. So please know that you will have to go visit these locations. And they're very, very busy. The person I was working with was very nice. He was the one handling all the applications, just that one person from all over the island with one support. And now it's a lot more organized, I'm assuming. So this is where we are at. So you'll have all the documents. Do you have any more questions at this point? This is roughly what you are entering. Okay. And you would want to apply. One of the requirements for application is also that after you graduate, you work under an SLMC registered clinical psychologist or a psychologist for 1 year. That will also go into your requirements and then you submit. Any questions at this point?
Ma'am, I just have a question about this thing that a lot of people told me when I asked about the MPhil. They kept saying something about the number of seats and that they take in only like a limited number of students in the sense that they have reduced the number from, I think, from 17 to 11, if I'm not mistaken. Is this true?
Yes.
And is this actually the process of like how it happens?
Nafta, I don't think I'm equipped to answer that question. I'm not sure about that. That actually increased the number. Um, I don't know. I can check for you. I'll check and I'll put it on the JH Talks group. Okay. You're so
Okay,
good.
no worries. Thank you.
May I ask you a question, Nafla?
Yeah, sure.
I'm curious about what makes you want to know this.
I
Is the
think
number this?
there has been a pattern in the way that they take students in. Like, for example, I think there is an allocation for 2 army officers,
Mhm.
and they have a particular allocation, the way that they give out seats. So that is why I wanted to know why exactly they reduce the number.
Okay. So, now, knowing this information, I will get you the answer. I'm happy to get you the answer because now I'm also curious. Okay, about how the allocation happens. But what I want to tell you all is knowing this answer is not going to change. It should not change how you show up and perform on the day. Okay? It should not change how you view yourself. It should not change anything. Okay? You have the number. How is it going to change anything for you? They did 20 last time, they did 11 this time. Okay, chalo, that's confirmed, finished. How is it going to change for you? It shouldn't change anything about you and how you're going to prepare for this process. You hope for the best, prepare for the best, and be ready for what may come, right? And know that, look, originally when I had to do, I was supposed to go for my postgraduate work somewhere in 2011. Okay. This is like 14 years ago. However, something happened personally and I couldn't go. And I was like, oh my God. Oh, sorry, 2012. I was thinking, oh, well, now what am I going to do? And then I let it be. And then this opportunity came up for me, right? It was one of the best opportunities and it just showed up. Could not every one of you make it, or should you all make it? I want you to more focus on the journey over there. It's really easy to say, but I want you to put mindful effort on focusing that I'm just going to show up with what I have, how I have, who I am, and then I'm going to leave that stage with my head held high, and I will just wait for the response. Okay, I will get all of you that number a bit, and curiosity is now like in my head, but I just want you to know this short. Let's see. Okay. Any more questions? No, I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, I have a question. Who will be conducting next week's session? There's a little bit of a surprise. Actually, no, it isn't. So next week it will be me as well as one of my past interns and trainees who actually got into the program and graduated super well and is doing really, really well. Her name is Afra Jami. Okay. She has more of the recent information about the CMCC and SLNC process. And I really want you all to know that because the more you know about that and equip yourself with this information, you will be very, very cautious and mindful of how you set up your documentation during the course of the 2 years. Okay. And it's just to make it easy for you to take these pointers. We're going to have the recording available, and you'll be able to meet them. Meet the requirements, submit it, and be registered psychologist. Any other question? Anything you feel I missed out and you want me to add on, then please to ask. Yes.
Ma'am, could you share a bit more about the placement exam? I've actually spoken to a couple of people from the current batch, and they mentioned they won't be asking any technical questions. Do you know?
Placement.
Yeah, the placement exam.
Yes, they don't. That's what I'm trying to tell you all. Don't stress yourself out about it because you are going into the program to learn the technical stuff.
Right.
Does that make sense? It's like, okay, I tell you guys, okay. How many of you have heard of Van Gogh? Okay, only one person nodding their head. How many of you know the history of Van Gogh? But now I have a workshop that is going to say this workshop is about learning the history of Van Gogh and everything that he did with all of his art. But the way to enter this workshop is you need to know everything about Van Gogh. Why the hell would you come to my workshop if you already know? And why would that be my entry question? Does that make sense? So that's where I want you all to bring your headspace to. Does it make sense? They're inviting you to apply for you to learn. So don't think you need to know everything before you enter because it will be a big mess. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. And after you enter your when you say placement, you meant the test, the initial test,
Yeah,
right?
the selection test.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Anybody else?
Ma'am, does the selection interview and the selection test happen on the same day? Or is it like paced?
When I did it, it was on the same day, and with the person that I spoke, the few others that I spoke to, actually, it was on the same day.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And ma'am, I have
Yeah.
another question.
Okay.
So with regard to the selection test and the interview, so how long does it take from the application deadline? So will it take at least a month or will they take in July?
Oh, good question. Actually, I don't have the answer to that one. I have no idea, but I will get that. So, what we need to find out is, Senri, can you help me here? One is we need to get the answer for the allocations, the duration from application to hearing back from the interview. I remember once I applied. So I applied and I finished. So those of you who don't know, I think all of you don't know me. So I have adult ADHD. So I had applied for the interview. I forgot. I forgot. Okay, and then I was just doing my thing, and then one day I remember my aunt saying, "Hey, University of Colombo has sent you a post." I'm like, "What? Why? Like, what happened?" And then I opened the letter. I didn't even register. I opened the letter. I said, "Oh my God, I got in." So it was a post that I received. That's it. I got in. So I'll look at how long before you get the interview and how long for you to have a response. And I'm
Yeah.
not really sure if they send responses of regrets. I'll also check
Mm.
in on that. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else? Was there any other question somebody asked that I missed out?
Ma'am, this is a bit more of a specific question for my CV.
Hanji.
So currently, I have completed my postgraduate in counseling and psychosocial support.
Oh, nice.
Um, and thank you. And I don't have the certificate yet because I'm waiting for results. So when I'm applying, how do I present that? That is the issue here.
You wouldn't be able to say you completed it yet because your results are not out.
Okay.
Completion is only done, you can say you've completed it if you have all your results but you haven't received your certificate. That's separate,
Okay.
right? So you can still put it in how I would do it. I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but I'm just saying this is how I would do it, and I'm thinking off the top of my head right now. Okay, everybody, I would put down, psychosocial, da, 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 da. And then on, the column on your right side, you would say from this year to this year or completed or present. I would just type pending final results, something like that.
Okay. Okay. Do you think
That's
I
what.
Do you think I will need like a letter or something from the faculty to say that I am still pending my results? Would that help? Because
Of course, get
it's
all
my,
you can, Nafla. That's
yeah,
what I would do. I'd be like,
it's just
hello.
my
I'd live at the department till they give me the letter.
yeah, because it's just my statement against, nothing. So might as well get something.
It'd be easy to verify, right? Because you're doing the one at UOC.
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody had asked a question about some certificate. How do you get certificates registered if it's a British degree? So all you would want to check is you have to see if it is a UGC accredited program, the degree that you have. And if it isn't, there is a process to see if there is eligibility. I'm not very familiar with it. I've actually forgotten the process. But even if you don't have a UGC recognized degree, I would just tell you to apply. What if, what if, you know, that they see your experience, all of these things, and they figure out a way to accept you into the program. Impossible is nothing when you really want a candidate that fits well into a program as they see it. Does that make sense? Was that useful, Hasmana? Anyone else? Ah, your degree. There's actually an international website where you go put in your degree, and it gives you an equivalent to the country that you're in, where it stands. So that's also something I have to look into. I'll try to get that link as well. I don't know if we still use it, but we did use it at least 5 years ago. What is the attestation? What does it say? I mean, see, the thing is, when you register for programs within a country, any country, okay, whether you have your qualification from Australia, whether you have it from Malaysia, whether you have it from the UK or United States, or wherever, once you get into that country and you're trying to enter that specific country's education system, that specific country's education system should be able to recognize what you have qualified in to ensure you're meeting that country's benchmark of, okay, if you've done a degree like this is what we expect of you to have completed, so you can enter our postgraduate program. I mean, our graduate studies program, not postgraduate. Right? So, because of that, even if the British Council or, whatever other body, education body, gives you a document saying, hey, this is what it is, it's whatever, what, it needs to still be recognized by the country you're trying to qualify. Does that make sense? Like if I were to take my MPhil and go to India to do maybe a doctorate, they're probably going to want to see, is this MPhil that we did here able to translate into the education standards of India? If not, they might have something called a bridging program, a 6 month something, a blah blah blah, before I can get into the program that I'm interested in their country. Is that clear? So that's where we would need to just check. Oh, and the best way to check is the institute you qualified from. If I don't know if you did it in the UK, or did you do it in an institute in Sri Lanka that is doing a UK-based program, you want to ask them, is this a UGC accredited program?
Ma'am, just to jump in on that to answer Azmana's question, like you said, you can just go and ask the institute to provide their UGC certificate, because they have to get one if they claim that their degree is UGC recognized. So for my PGDP, I kind of attached that certificate, which I got from the institute, to say that my degree is actually UGC recognized. So that helps.
Yeah, that will help. And also, if it is already UGC recognized in your whatever thing you submit, even in the CV or whatever, even in brackets, if you put UGC recognize, it's very easy. All that the panelists have to do is they just need to walk up onto the UGC website, type your thing, and they'll see it up over there. At least there was a system like that before. Anything else? And anyone else, if you are recognizing that I'm giving dated information, okay, feel free to jump in and correct me at any point, okay? I am not claiming to know the end all be all of the situation of information here. I'm just sharing what I learned along the way. Aha, we have a link. Look at that. Look at that. Yep. So it still does exist. I'm glad to know. Adrian, thank you so much. Adrian has always been a source of information, right? Thank you, Adrian. So he's put in a link in the Zoom chat, which Senator, maybe we can copy this and also put that onto the JH chat and say the UGC index, so that we all have it in one space. Anybody have any other last questions? If not, you are all free to leave. Or you can message us privately as well. All good? Was it clear to you? Okay, fine. You're most welcome. And we are done. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for your time and have a great weekend, ma'am.
Thank you so much. You're most welcome. It was a pleasure to share.